Hey guys, Chris, your Dark Avenger here, and I recently was tagged in a top 10 video by DakenHowlett, one of my best friends on YouTube, Chris. So, yeah, my top 10 comics. Funny story, thank God some of them I have doubles of so I can actually show them off. But unfortunately, let me explain something to you guys. Now that I have the chance, first of all, ignore the shelf work up here. I'm actually recently working on a shelf. We got rid of one of the shelves up there. So I'm actually working on getting a lot of those figures over here. So when I'm showing off, just understand that there's a lot of construction in the room going on. So anyway, my top 10 comics are 1, 2, third box down. And for any comic collector who uses these types of boxes for their comic books, you guys know that those boxes are super heavy. Here, an example. Mike, go on my phone, by the way. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
For an example, okay, here's a stack of just Superman right now. Okay, this is just Superman for about 3 years, and this is a stack of comics that I have to scotch tape and put away. But that's beside the point. So this box, if it was up to the top, is super heavy. So I can't really give me back my cell phone. I can't really get them, but a lot of them, thank God, I have a wall of awesome comics. So I do have most of my top 10 comics here. But first, my number one, of course, has to be Superman Forever. I have images from past videos. Superman Forever is in that third box all the way down there, so I can't get it. But my favorite comic, it's the comic that got me into collecting. It was Superman returning from this, when he was the blue energy and nobody liked it. This was the return. He came back. There was the war that went on with the New Gods, and he stopped them. Him and Superman Red stopped them. They ended up circling around the world, and they just shot off the red and blue electricity, shot off into space. And then in this issue, Superman came crashing down back to Earth, no longer energy. He is now the regular Superman, so it was the return of Superman. Also, might as well show the other one that I have on here, which is actually up in the attic, this one. This one is Amazing Spider-Man 361, the first appearance ever of Carnage. This is before Maximum Carnage happened. It was a 3-part series, and this was basically his first appearance, so I had to throw that in there, especially with Carnage actually now back in the Marvel Universe. Sentry did rip him in half, but apparently he's back now with robotic legs, and that's, yeah, that's interesting. Alright, so let's go to the wall. First of all, I had to move my Sentinel over to do this. First off is my Spawn number 1. DakenHowlett actually got me interested in recollecting Spawn, so I actually started again, and I love the series. It was an amazing series. It was actually, this is my first full Image comic series that I'm still collecting to this day. I have issues 1 through 100. This is the Pendulum first ever appearance of Spawn, first issue of Spawn. Had to throw that in there. Also, another number 1 is Superman number 1, his first issue, and the first villain to actually face Superman in this book. I love the quote. And this is your first issue Superman, and it could be your last. By the way, this is a number 1 after, where's the number 1? I hate when oh, here we go. After the whole Infinite Crisis thing. So this is the relaunched Superman number 1, the first relaunched Superman. And this was his whole fight with Metallo. First reappearance of Metallo, the reappearance, but the first time Superman seeing him in the relaunch universe. It was awesome. I love this comic. Of course, it's very cheap to find now, which is what I feel is going to happen to a lot of the number 1s in the current day DCU. Also, okay, let's go down to this wall. Superman Red and Blue. This was Superman number 132. This was the first time they actually, at the very end of this book, in this book, Superman Red and Blue are off doing different things. Something happened to Superman Blue's taking care of it. Something happened to Superman Red's taking care of it. And then at the very end of the book, they both meet each other. Like they bump in, like they purposely meet each other for the first time. And basically the Superman Red and Blue saga only lasted for about, I believe it was about 8 or 9 books, and then the Superman Forever happened, and that brought Superman back together. This whole Superman Red and Blue thing was basically to set Superman up to come back as his original, in his original costume, in his original way to be. Also, up here is Superman in Action Comics number 692. Superman comes back from the dead. He actually came back from the dead in this issue, The Adventures of Superman 505, which this is where he actually came back. This is after the whole reign of the Superman happened, and basically he's now back. But I love this issue, especially for the suit. And when he returned, they actually gave him the long hair, which I think was perfect for Superman. It was a different feel than like when he had the short hair. The longer hair actually, for some reason, I liked it on Superman. For some reason, I mean, it didn't change the costume, it didn't change the hair. It was just the length of the hair. For some reason, it was a good breath of fresh air from the short-haired version of Superman, and I loved it. I was a huge fan of the long-haired Superman back in the day, and I love this picture of Superman, and the story was awesome. This one, you could actually tell, was a second volume because it actually doesn't have the barcode. It actually says Better Than Ever. This one is an actual copy because it has the barcode. But yeah, I have doubles. I have triples of this comic because I love it. Okay, moving down here, Wolverine #1. I'm a huge fan of Wolverine. I've been a huge fan of Wolverine for years. He was one of my top favorite X-Men. After him is Iceman, and you know Cyclops is all the way on the bottom. Love Wolverine. I actually saw this comic on one of Dawkins' videos, one of Chris's videos, DakenHowlett, and he was comparing it to this one, to Dawkins Dark Wolverine #7, and I said, whoa, I gotta get that book. It's a #1. It's finally his own full-length ongoing series. So I grabbed it, I loved it, and to this day I'm still looking for future issues, well, not future new issues, future issues from the #1, so I'm actually working my way forward from the past. Okay, moving over to, I believe, up there, my Superman vs. Spiderman, which was the first ever Marvel DC crossover. Wow, finding the book was crazy. I actually got it signed by the writer. I kept the name. Why when I'm thinking of names, the names escape me. But I have it signed on the inside cover. It was amazing. The collaboration between two of my favorite superheroes. I mean, you can't get any better than that, right? Enough said. First they fight, then they team up against Doc Ock and Lex Luthor. You can't ask for anything more than that. Alright, so we've got the two from the computer, the third one here, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, which is here, 8th, and now 9th is an ongoing series that just started again. My 9th favorite is the Teenage Mutant Ninja. These are not in any specific order, by the way. Nobody think I'm actually counting down what my top favorite is. The #1 is my #1 favoriteest, next to Superman Forever, but they're out of order as far as my favorite is. But anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the relaunch of TMNT, finally. I never had a chance to collect the first, second, or third volume of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love how this story is going. And I've always loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even as a kid. I mean, me and Mike used to watch it all the time, right? Mike always liked Michelangelo, gee, I wonder why. And I've always been a huge fan of Leonardo, the leader of the group, the most disciplined, and you can't not love the Turtles, okay? Now, that's all I really can say for that. Now, my #1 favoriteest comic in the entire world. It's actually, I have these two on my wall signed. I have the originals also, are The Death of Superman. I have both, which is Superman 75, by the way. I have both of these signed by, this one is the baggie, which was signed by Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding. And this one is the actual cover without the baggie. It was also signed by Brett Breeding and Dan Jurgens. The Death of Superman, nobody back in the 90s, this was in 1993, the very beginning of 93, the end of 92, because in the end of 92 is, let me go down here a minute, the end of 92 is where Doomsday made his appearance. That was Superman Triangle number 45, Superman the Man of Steel number 18. Doomsday made his appearance, and there was the whole fight going on, and then it all ended, whoop, get back up, here, where Superman stopped Doomsday, but the unfortunate price was his death. And this was a milestone comic not only for DC, but it was an event that was announced, that was in the news. It was so big that the news was talking about it. It shook comic book heroes to the core because nobody ever thought that Superman could be killed. And here, Dan Jurgens, Brett Breeding, and John Bogdanoff, who did artwork, all these people actually showed that not even Superman can beat death all the time. That even Superman can die. And they did it. And it was, to this day, one of the most, I don't even know what word, it's like, most monumental series in comic book history. You can't say comic books without saying there was the death of Superman. You can't say DC Comics without mentioning the death of Superman. It was such an event that nobody will ever forget that event. This event, for any comic collector who's a fan, even if you're not a fan of Superman, you do know your phone, Michael. You do know that at least Superman died. You may not know how, you may not know why, but any collector would say, yeah, I know that Superman died. You can't not know that at some point in time Superman died, and that was in 1993, right there. And the things that led from that, I mean, we've got, here, hold on, Mike. I actually have some on the wall. I have Funeral for a Friend, which was the event that took place right after. Do I have a Reign? Ah, here we go. And I have some Reign of Superman. Then the Reign came, which I also have signed. This one by Dan Jurgens, and this one by my other favorite artist, John Bogdanoff. This was the Reign of the Superman, which then all led into the Return of Superman with the long hair that I like so much. So yes, that is my top 10 comic books. I apologize that I couldn't get some more older one, like I couldn't delve into my older comics, my which actually hold more value. These are definitely though in my tops list, and some of these actually are in my top 10 list. So it's just, I apologize, especially working on my 100th episode weekend, which is next Saturday. I made this list up. It literally took me a little while to actually get these 10 together, but yeah, those are my top 10. This is definitely my number one. As far as my top 10, Superman Forever is my number 2. And then from there, I would have to actually think about the other comics, which one I'd have noticed. Anyway, now I have to tag 2 people. And the 2 people I choose are, I believe, X-Men 14, she didn't do a top 10 yet. And Comics Book Noob. I think I'm going to tag him. I don't think he did it yet. So, guys, I look forward to seeing your top 10s. So yeah, have fun with it. I had fun doing this. Thank you, DakenHowlett, Chris, for tagging me in your video. I feel honored actually, because you can only pick 2 people, and the fact that you chose me makes me feel a little happy inside. And yeah, it was fun doing this. I wish I had more time to actually really delve into my collection. I'm sure I probably would have had a Maximum Carnage issue in here somewhere if I actually had them down here and not in the attic. But no, but these are my top 10 as far as my wall of awesome comic books go, and my wall of signed comics go, and my mini wall of comics over there that I'm still working on. I'll post an update video with the progress of all this and moving most of those over there. So yeah. So thank you once again, DakenHowlett, for tagging me, and that's Michael. He's not a top 10 comic. And Comic Noob, X-Men 14, guys, have fun with the tag. I look forward to seeing both your videos. Alright guys, I'll see you later. I'm probably going to have another update video on the 100th video coming up right after this, so catch you there.